I have YouTube channels that I follow too on homesteading and frugality and repurposing. And some of them I have followed for years. And one channel that I follow, she's talked about how she is able to stay home with her children, and they live very, very frugally and on hardly anything. But they've owned several homes. She stays home, homeschools her children. They have a very good life. And so people are always writing in and asking, could you please share, how do you do this? How do you do that? How do you pay for retirement? How are you going to pay for your retirement? How do you pay for health care? And we've always heard, kind of different things, but I love hearing her talk. But today was the first day in the last 5 years that I've listened to her that we finally learned how this is done. And she explained that in the state where she lives, almost everything's free if you want it. Health care, food stamps, vision care, dental care, education stipends, you name it. So the person that I've looked up to, one of the people I've looked up to for years to give me advice on living frugally and homesteading, is actually relying on taxpayer funds to fund her family's way of living. And that's the difference between equality and equity. So equality is we should all have the same chances in life. I should be able to go to school just like the person who lives next door to me who's my age should be able to go to school. I should be able to be hired for a job just like someone else who's as capable as me, or maybe more capable, should be able to get that job as well. That's equality, where you're not held back based on your gender, your skin color, your economic status. Okay, that's equality. Equity is when you are given the same end result without having to put anything into it. Okay, so here is this YouTuber who has her homestead, living off the state, right? Doesn't have to go to work, and is doing very well. And then myself, I still work 40 hours a week, and I go home and I work 20 to 30 hours a week trying to grow my gardens, trying to can and do homestead things, and spread the word with my channel. And I'm paying taxes for someone to sit at home and homestead. That's equity, okay? That's why it's unfair. So to say I was disappointed is an understatement. And so I just want to let my viewers know that you're always going to get the truth from me, okay? I work full-time. I homestead part-time. I am doing the homesteading because that is my love, okay? That's what gets me up in the morning. That's what I want to do the rest of my life, what I have left. And so I'm working towards the goal for when I retire, I can do it full-time. And so you're always going to get the truth from me. I'm not going to lie to you. If I show you a recipe, I've ate it, okay? I have eaten it. If I tell you it's good, it's good. If I tell you it sucks, it really does suck. If I've tried something in my garden that works, I'm going to share it with you. If I tried it and it stunk, I'm going to share it with you. I'm learning as I go, just as any experienced farmer who's done it for years will tell you. They are always learning as they do it as well. So I'm never going to mislead you into thinking I'm doing anything more, or I have anything more than what I do, okay? So now that we have that on the table, A lot of people have been also posting about current events, and believe me, there's a lot. So just since I saw you guys last time, the Nord Stream 2 pipeline was blown up. We're not exactly sure who did that. That's the energy pipeline from Russia to other European countries. And we'll find out in the next 10 years, maybe, who actually did that. But a lot of sources think the United States did it. You know, it just really seems to me like we have some warmongers in this government that really want to get us into a war for some reason or another. The bridge blew up the other day that connects Russia to Ukraine. And that was done by Ukraine, we believe. Don't know exactly for sure. That's what Russia is saying. Some sources are saying that Russia did it themselves. I don't know why they would do that, because that's how they get over there. But since that time, Russia's been bombarding Ukraine even worse. So President Zelensky is supposed to be talking to the NATO countries today, and probably asking for more help. He did ask for the United States to do a preemptive strike on Russia. No, no, no. Let's just pray that does not happen. We do not need to be drawn into a war with an unstable person, okay, who's sitting on more nuclear weapons than any other country. We've already given them over $600 million in equipment, training, money, and who knows where that money's going, right? I mean, Ukraine was a corrupt country before this even happened. They were rated number 3 as far as corruption out of all the countries in the world. So keep that in mind too. Inflation is still continuing to rise. Gas prices in my state are rising back up again. They're up over $4 now, and we're expecting them to reach $5 before long. So it's really easy to just not know where to start. And, you know, what do we talk about? Where do we start? So I've been trying to focus on food and food production and food prices. And that's where I'm going to start this week. So last week there was a summit where they talked about the strategy on hunger, nutrition, and health. And the Biden-Harris administration talked about what their plans were as far as the United States. Although this summit was focused globally, different countries, but of course they were waiting with bated breath to see what the United States was going to implement. So I've been studying this for about a week. And it's a lofty goal, and it's a goal we would all love to see. And according to the White House's website, the president announced a goal of ending hunger and increasing healthy eating and physical activity by 2030. So fewer Americans experience diet-related diseases while reducing related health disparities. Don't we all want that? I mean, we all want that, right? Okay, but how is the government going to go about that? I mean, that's a lofty goal, right? Well, they have named 5 pillars, and these pillars are plans of action that they would like to take, and they would also like to have states and local governments join in to help implement these pillars. So let's start with Pillar 1, which is improving food access and affordability, including advancing economic security. Okay. Pillar 2 is integrating nutrition and health. Pillar 3 is empowering all consumers to make and have access to healthy choices. And pillar 4 is supporting physical activity for all. And 5 is enhancing nutrition and food security research. So there's some great things in there that they would like to do. But let's talk about some of the others that I found. So let's do a deep dive into pillar 1, which is improve food access and affordability. A better definition of that is to end hunger by making it easier for everyone, including individuals in urban, suburban, rural, and tribal communities and territories, to access and afford food. I'm all for that, folks, and I've said before in some of my videos, I don't live too far from an area where there are no grocery stores. There is no way to get to the local dollar store that carries groceries now without walking on the road, the busy highway road. There's no sidewalks there to get there. So I'm all for improving sidewalks and things like that so that people can get to what they need for food. And these people cannot go into town, which is maybe 15, 20 miles away, because they don't have the transportation. And also, a lot of these pop-up stores, like the dollar stores, they're no longer $1, okay? I was in there the other day and a gallon of milk was $4 and something. Well, they can charge that because these people can't get anywhere else closer where milk is only $2.37 a gallon. So I am all for that. And I also think there's lots of communities that need grocery stores. So, you know, I like the definition of it, but let's talk about how they plan on doing this, how they plan to improve food access and affordability. Well, in the very first paragraph, it says, a critical step to reduce hunger and associated disparities is helping all Americans become economically secure. When I grew up, I was taught in my school system that you become economically secure by working. Okay? You get an education, even if it was just high school education, and then you got off your butt and you got a job. Okay? Even now, there were people in my class that I graduated with that were very, very intelligent. They became doctors and lawyers and actors and things like that. And then other students struggled to learn, right? But you still saw them working at the grocery store, at the gas station, doing something to support themselves. And that's what I started off with, talking about equity. So what this is about is helping Americans become economically secure without doing anything. Okay? It's not fair. So at what point will people like me and people like you that have worked all their life say, screw it, I'm sick of it. Why don't I jump on the train and get free things for myself? I can live on it. I've worked 35 years. I'll have a retirement that I can take early. I'll take a cut, but I can live on it. Why shouldn't we live off the government like everybody else, right? So there has to be some kind of reward for a person to try to reach a higher goal. All right, let's keep going. So it also says that they're going to do this by driving historically equitable jobs. How are they doing that? Well, they're already doing it. They're doing equity audits. You can look this up, where they're going into large companies. And okay, so for this job right here, this person is in it. This person is getting paid this much. This person is this color. Why is it that these people who have been here this long have not reached that level? And so if it's unfair, that's another thing I'm all for. But if it's because this person went and got a master's degree and they understand the business better than someone who only has an associate's degree and they have had no supervisory experience, then it should be this person here. I don't care what color they are, okay? So what they're trying to do is drive the workforce towards color. Okay, they're pushing companies regarding who they should hire. They're also wanting to expand the earned income tax credit to never expire for children. So what that does is it encourages people, some people, to continue to have children that they can't afford because they're getting a tax credit, which amounts to nothing. It'll keep them in poverty. And also, we have such high inflation, is now the time to be handing out more money. They're also wanting to raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour. Equity, right? When you and I started working, we started at the Dairy Queen, we started at McDonald's, we started at the grocery store, at those low-paying jobs, because those were intended for first jobs. And you learn how to work well with others, and you learn how to follow directions, right? But now they're wanting to make those entry-level jobs pay what some of us have had to work 10 to 15 years to get. So they're wanting to boost that. Now, will private-owned companies, mom and pop shops, will they be able to pay $15 an hour? I doubt it. For part-time help, probably not. So that's something to think about. They want to continue to advance policies that increase worker power and workers' rights to collectively bargain. But wait. Including workers who grow, produce, and process our food, transport it to the grocers, and stock our grocery store shelves. In other words, migrants. In other words, illegals. Right? Now you're saying, oh, come on, Re-Ritten, you don't know that for sure. But I do. If you search a little more, if you keep doing some research, you're going to find who helped put that in there. Okay? Let me find it for you, friends. Okay, so at the end of the document that they have at the White House website, they list all of the nonprofits and companies that helped them write this document and gave them input. Now, the ones that did that, they're called ACACIA, okay, which is they're funded by the Center for Justice. They say that they have $41 million taxpayer-backed government contracts. So our government has been giving them contracts. They're a nonprofit, and they work to help illegal immigrants fight deportation. That's where that came from. Look that up. ACACIA. So they are wanting us to let them unionize and tell the farmers how much they should be making per hour. They're here illegally. What benefits they should have. They're here illegally. Now, do you think farmers will be able to do that? I don't think so. But isn't that really, that's the long-term goal, is to get rid of farmers, in my opinion. All right, we're still on Pillar 1. Advance a pathway to free, healthy school meals for all. Some students don't need free meals. Some do. Some don't. So why should taxpayers have to pay for free meals for students who don't need them? Right? I mean, that just makes our cost of living more expensive. Not everyone who has whose income is low enough to qualify for SNAP programs are eligible. For example, federal law currently prohibits formerly incarcerated individuals from getting SNAP benefits, so they want to change that. I don't know. I don't think that's a bad thing. If you've served your time and you've done your part for society, your children shouldn't have to suffer. You should be able to get employment. You should be able to get help to get back on your feet. So I don't see anything wrong with that part of it. They also want to expand SNAP so that it never expires. So if you're receiving food stamps, and the way it used to be was you have until such and such a time, 2 years, and by that time you should be able to get on your feet and get a job so that you can support your family, or get job training, or go to school. Well, now they want to expand it so it's never ending. This next part you're going to find is contradictory. So they say that SNAP participants are not currently able to use their benefits to purchase prepared foods, certain prepared foods. So they want to change that so that they can. Well, we all know that prepared foods are typically high in sugar, high in sodium. So that part kind of struck me, that they're willing to do that. But we'll get back to that. So that's still pillar 1. They want to invest in community and economic development in order to increase access to food. They want to leverage housing. I don't know how you leverage housing. You either can afford it or you can't. And with inflation the way it is, it's not a very good time to be buying a house. But these will be supported by taxpayers, so we will be giving houses to people. We're going to improve transportation options to the grocery stores, to farmers markets, and commercial districts. I'm all for that. Promoting transit, bicycle, pedestrian improvements. Like I said, the people that live close to me, they have to walk down the highway to get to the nearest food source, where they could get hurt, they could get hit. You see little children doing it. So there should be sidewalks on both sides of that road that are lit in the evening so that they don't get hurt. So things like that, I'm all for. And let's see if we have any more for pillar 1. Oh, we do. They're going to start telling us how we can get rid of food waste. So you know how when you finish eating and you just throw everything away that you don't eat, or you may put it into another meal or whatever. They're going to start telling us how to get rid of food waste, and also at restaurants and at grocery stores. So reduce barriers to food recovery. The EPA, the USDA, the HHS, Food and Drug Administration, are leading development of a whole of government strategy for reducing food loss and waste. What's the first thing that comes to your mind there, you guys? What comes to my mind is rationing. One way to keep from throwing a whole lot of food away is to have the government tell you, this is your plate, this is how much you should have from each of these foods, no more than that. So just like World War II, you can have so many bags of sugar, so many bags of flour, so many of this, and meat and dairy and cheese and things like that because of the war effort. Well, they could reduce food waste by reducing what you're allowed to eat. Things get interesting in Pillar 2. Pillar 2 is to integrate nutrition and health, prioritize the role of nutrition and food security in overall health, including disease prevention and management, and ensure that our healthcare system addresses the nutrition needs of all people. So how are they going to do that? Well, all throughout this pillar, they talk about food is medicine. Food is medicine interventions, including medically tailored meals and groceries provided by medical professionals for people with diet-related diseases or food insecurity. Now, how would you like it if you went to the doctor because you had some illness, right? And you typically take medicine for it that makes you feel better. And all of a sudden the doctor says, Martha, I can't give you that prescription, but what I will do is I'm going to give you a voucher to run up to the grocery store and get some lettuce. They're going to tell you what you're allowed to eat, what you should be eating. Okay, so, it may be true you should be eating more lettuce and these diseases and these ailments would go away. It may be true. But this is your government overstepping and telling you what you are allowed to eat by withholding prescriptions. And I don't think that's fair. We're losing our freedom of choice. I don't care if it's with food. If I want to have a frickin' sugar cookie, I want it, right? And it's my decision, and what happens to my body is because of that choice. And I don't want to lose that freedom of choice, especially when it comes to what I shove in my mouth. All right, they want to expand medical beneficiaries' access to nutrition and obesity counseling. Now, if you delve in further on this is for people, Medicare and Medicaid, right? So they will have to have mandatory obesity counseling before they can get prescription drugs for any type of ailments that might be health related. So grandma and grandpa are a little overweight, little chubby, and they've been having trouble sleeping. They've been having trouble swallowing. They're having trouble walking, whatever. Instead of helping them with knee surgery or hip surgery or some type of medicine that would ease any pain that they're having, we're going to send them to a psychologist or a psychiatrist to talk to them about food. You guys, they've lived 60, 70, 80 years by now. They know about food. They're making choices what they want to eat. And should taxpayers have to fund that? I thought that was interesting. And all throughout Pillar 2, that's what they're talking about, is cutting down on prescriptions and making you choose food prescriptions instead. They talk about strengthening and diversifying the nutrition workforce. Say what? Oh, and I love how they point this out. So, do you know, this is in the paperwork, do you know that 70% of nurses are white? What should we do about that? Increasing the diversity of nurses and expanding their reach to areas with limited care will ensure more equitable care for everyone. Don't ask me how. Don't ask me how having a African American nurse, a white nurse, a Latino nurse, a Filipino nurse would give you a more equitable outcome, because I have a daughter who's a nurse, and I'm here to tell you, they don't care what color you are. You're going to get the same level of care. They have taken an oath to make sure that you will get that level of care, okay? But instead, they're going to be forcing hospitals and clinics to hire people of color. Now, I have one other thing to add about that. You can't lead a horse to water, folks. You either want that job or you don't. And so how will they make that happen? If I'm a white person, which, you know, look at me. If I'm a white person and there's a job out there that is 70 to 80% typically black, and they're wanting more white people to apply for it, but I really don't have an interest in it, I don't care about it, don't want to do it, how are they going to get me to do it? They're going to pay me to do it. They're going to pay me extra to do it. And that's where they're going to get those equitable outcomes. So a call to action for this pillar is states should leverage all available federal authorities to expand coverage of food as medicine. States should collaborate with nonprofits and community-based organizations to establish a state-funded produce prescription program. And health insurance companies should consider providing or expanding coverage of nutrition services, including produce prescriptions. Do you think that's going to make our insurance go up? Probably. I don't know if you guys are ready for Pillar 3, but let's move along. You guys, do you see the trees behind me? They're starting to turn where I work. And we have the most gorgeous trees where I work. And little story behind that, my dad planted some of these trees 50 years ago. And so I think of that every time I see them. Okay, so Pillar 3 is empower all consumers to make and have access to healthy choices. Okay, so, we want them to have healthy choices. Well, that's good. We should have healthy choices. One thing I'm for in this pillar is they want to move the labels from the front from the back to the front. So you know how on the back they talk about calories and fat and sugar content. Well, they want to move all that to the front so that when you look at it, that's what gets your attention. They also want to have a new like color-coded stoplight system, red, green, yellow. If it's green, it's good, it's healthy. If it's yellow, it's in between. If it's red, put it down. Now, that part I'm not for, because I think that is where we can see corruption. Whichever company lobbies the hardest and pays the most to get someone in office, they're the ones that are going to get the healthy rating on their food. So I'm all for moving that to the front so people can read it. But maybe we should address teaching people what it means when they're in school, or implementing it into other programs to help them read food labels instead of putting the red cross on it that means put it down, because that's unfair to some companies. They want to intervene in marketing. So if something is marketed that's unhealthy to children, then they are going to slap restrictions on them. I can see corruption setting in there too. It all depends on who's paying who. Incentives in SNAP to support purchasing more fruits and vegetables. So we're going to pay people on food stamps even more to buy fruits and vegetables, which they should be doing anyway, but now we're going to pay them extra. Thank you, taxpayers, and during a time of inflation. The HHS and the FDA will issue revised voluntary sodium reduction targets, and I love the word voluntary at this time, to facilitate continually lowering the amount of sodium in the food supply. So what they're saying is we're going to let companies voluntarily lower their salt in their merchandise, and then they will get that bright green sticker that says they're healthy. So you may enjoy salt, but you're not going to get salt. No, you won't get salt because you will probably be rationed on what you're allowed to eat because of the food waste program that's in this mess. And also too, because of the standard ratings that these will get. HHS and FDA will propose to upgrade regulations to enable manufacturers to use salt substitutes. Oh, great. Let's put more chemicals in our food, okay, that support sodium reduction. HHS divisions and USDA will hold public meetings regarding future steps the federal government could take to reduce the intake of added sugar. So, same thing. You're going to get a certain rating based on how much money you give those politicians. And if I want sugar, by God, I'm going to eat sugar. I don't know how, but I'm going to. All right, you guys, this really grabbed my eyeballs. The FTC has indicated that it will pursue targeted law enforcement actions to prevent deceptive advertising. Kind of like, so we're weaponizing the Department of Justice, right? They're going after the last administration's supporters. And now we're going to do that to advertisers. We're going to send the Department of Justice out to arrest advertisers. Don't we have enough crime going on? Don't we have enough murderers walking around that haven't been convicted, and rapists that we should be going after those people? People that are here illegally? Shouldn't we be going after those people? No. We're going to send our Department of Justice out to arrest advertisers. Shake my head. Pillar 4 is support physical activities for all, making it easier for people to be more physically active. And this one's pretty well milquetoast. It's like I said before, being able to have transportation, sidewalks, roadways to the parks and to recreation facilities. I'm all for that. Okay, so this one I don't think anybody would argue about. The one thing that did strike me was apparently now if you get SNAP, if you get certain government or state benefits, you get booklets, right? And these booklets tell you about nutrition and they talk to you about exercise. Well, they're going to redo these books so that they are more culturally inclusive. So they're going to work on the language, they're going to work on the pictures, so that it talks more in their dialect. That's exactly what it said. Now, to me, that's racist. You know, we don't think you can speak proper English, so we're going to talk in slang, you know, so that you can understand this. In some ways, this government shows its racism. Not on purpose, but it's out there. Okay, so Pillar 5 is enhanced nutrition and food security research. Okay, ensure diversity and inclusion in nutrition, health, and food security research. They're going to do that by expanding and diversifying the nutrition science workforce. So once again, just like with nurses, we're going to require hospitals and research centers and manufacturers to hire a diverse workforce. If they don't want to, we'll pay you more to do it, just so that we have diversity. Okay, this will also research the intersection of climate change, food security, and nutrition. The USDA and NIFA will enter into agreement with the National Academies of Science, Engineering, and Medicine to determine the links between human health and soil. Well, we see what's been going on in European countries, and that is, I'm sorry about the paper ruffling, but that is, some European countries were forced to get rid of pesticides. And so what happened? They've lost their crops. And, be looking for that. Be looking for restrictions on herbicides and pesticides. I found this real interesting article. This is by Sean McBride. Now, this was published in 2020. It's on a website called Food Dive, and he's talking about things that the Obama administration tried to implement as far as food when they were in control, okay? And now that Biden is in control, things that he will try to implement. And this guy got it right on the money because it is exactly what their plan has laid out. But there's some interesting things he thinks you should keep your eyes on, and I was just going to go over that with you. Real quick, it said that Obama's working group on food marketed to children sought to limit food advertising on TV, video games, and the internet, but that was ruled unconstitutional because of the First Amendment. Okay, they're allowed to say whatever they want to say, as long as it isn't a blatant lie. Okay, look for deep dives into food marketing restrictions again under a would-be Biden administration. So that's what that paper said is coming. Talked about food labeling with a traffic light front of pack nutrition label system. It's exactly what they would like to do. Let's see. The Obama administration's FDA wielded its generally recognized as safe program forcefully. First, it revoked or threatened to revoke the status of food ingredients, including hydrogenated oils, caffeine, and sodium. It's likely a would-be Biden FDA would again leverage to regulate ingredients it thinks is unhealthy. So, doesn't matter if you like salt and sugar, they're going to take it out if they want to. Depends on if they get paid. Okay? SNAP. The Trump administration and its allies in Congress successfully blocked proposals to restrict the use of SNAP benefits for the purchase of foods high in added sugar and sodium. So the Trump administration, if you had SNAP, you were allowed to buy whatever you wanted. If you want cookies, you could use them. You could use your SNAP money for that. A possible Biden administration would likely propose new restrictions to SNAP, which is what they say in there, is that they're going to actually pay them to go out and buy fruits and vegetables. Yeah. You know what? I'll take the money. I'll take the money and I'll go out and get a head of lettuce. My God, the last time I went to the grocery store, it was almost $2 a head. Pay me! Sodium reduction. Keep an eye on this one under a potential Biden administration to see if voluntary becomes mandatory at some point. We know it will. Diet and climate change. A potential Biden administration would likely push for federal policies that demonize animal agriculture and promote plant-based diets. I have a video on that. It's called Where's the Beef? Make sure you watch it. As a means to achieve better public outcomes and reduce climate change. You guys, they want to get rid of the American farmer. They want to tell us what we're allowed to eat. They want to be in charge of making it, and only the elite and the rich will be able to get the real thing. They're wanting zero net agriculture. They want to achieve carbon neutral status in agriculture production. I know that was a lot to take in, you guys, but if this is going to be happening, which this is their goal, I want you to start paying attention. And when you go to the stores and you see those labels have moved to the front, see if they have that color-coded system. And think about that. You know, are they getting paid off to get a green symbol on there that says that they're healthy or they're semi-healthy? Is that fair? If you hear in the news that some advertising companies, some of their bigwigs have been arrested because of what the government has deemed false advertising, think about the Department of Justice, and is that what you want them doing? Do you want SNAP benefits to be given? Once you get them, you never lose them? They go on forever and ever? Do you want to, as a taxpayer, have to pay for that? Or should that person, would you rather see your money go into job training? So, you know, it's like I said throughout this, there are some things I do support there. There are some things I don't. I don't like getting law enforcement involved in. And, you know, I don't like them telling me what I'm allowed to eat and what I'm not allowed to eat. So I'm trying to stay abreast as to what's going on in agriculture, what's going on with our food, because you guys, whoever controls the food controls us. Thank you for joining me, everyone. Chapter 3 of our book, The Doll Maker, will be coming up shortly. And I have some other videos coming up too, where we're going to do some cooking and get my pantry together. Thanks for joining me, you guys. And I hope you have a great week and enjoy these beautiful fall colors, and come back and see me.